Hello students. Today's topic in CSS is about a property called as text decoration. So this text decoration property is similar to that we have in MS Word, where we make use of the shortcut Control U to underline a text. So likewise in CSS also we can make use of text decoration property, and it takes three attributes, that is overline, line through, and underline. So as the name suggests, overline means we can have a line above the text. Line through is the line that goes between, and then we have underline, that is we'll get a line below the text. So this is the property. So after this we have the next one, that is the box model in CSS. So like we have properties like to specify the padding and the margin for our elements in CSS. So this box model basically talks about what takes up the web browser. So the web browser will have our content, which is going to be the main like the text or the images or multimedia, which will be surrounded by various properties like padding, or it can have borders and margins. So what are the properties that we can specify? We can have margin, like basically this margin will have allow us to specify the values in all the four direction or all the four sides, that is top, bottom, right, and left. So you can specify the property margin and give the value in terms of pixel or even in terms of inches, that is in. And then we have the property again, padding top. Similarly it takes for each side, padding top, left, right, and bottom. So again we can specify the values here in terms of pixel or in terms of inches. Then the next one that we have is the background images. So basically if you want to display an image as a background, and on top of it we need certain text, so that can be done with the help of this background image, that is that we specify in CSS, right? So this background image, then we have to give the URL, that is the image, specifying the absolute path or the relative path. So we need to give the image name with its extension. So this particular background image also takes another property, that is if you want to repeat the image. So basically this particular background repeat property is used to tell how many times a particular image needs to be repeated. So when if you want to repeat it in terms of only horizontally, you need to specify repeat hyphen x value. If you want to specify it vertically, then we need to give repeat y value. When we do not want the image to be repeated, so we need to give as no repeat. Then we can, if we need the image to be replicated or repeated both horizontally and vertically, so we need to make use of the property, and the value is repeat. So let's see an example for this. So here I have an HTML document, and again in the head section I've specified the style. So we are going to make use of this particular type of CSS here. Then in this particular style section, what I have done is I have made use of a body tag. That is, I want the image to be uh, take up the entire body of the HTML page, which means it should take up the entire browser. So the property name here is background image. This background image is applied for the element body, the body in HTML. Okay, so body is the element, the tag. For this particular element, I'm applying the background hyphen image, and then give URL as a keyword, and inside this, in the double quotes, we need to specify the image along with its extension. Now if I run this, so we can see here the image is taking up the entire screen, or is being repeated both horizontally and vertically, and this is the text that is being displayed on top of the image. So if we decide to apply the property here, that is background repeat, So we are going to make use of the property background repeat. And for this, let us give the value, like let us try to repeat it horizontally as well as let us try to repeat it vertically. So we will try to first repeat it x wise, that is horizontally. So we will write repeat x and a semicolon here. So save. Let us go back and try to refresh this. So we can see here now the image is just being repeated horizontally and is taking up only one portion of the body, that is the browser. So if we change this value to repeat y, it will now be repeated in vertical axis, in the y axis. Again, we have the last one, that is no repeat. So only the image is displayed one time. And the default value that goes when you do not specify anything, that is repeat. Even we can try this without specifying. So it is going to be repeated both x and y axis. So even if this is removed, the same effect will be seen. The images will be repeated x and y axis both. So this is one property. Now, after this, we have another two tags, that is the span tag and the division tags. So basically, with the help of the span tag, what we can do is we can apply specific properties only for a one particular word or even for one particular alphabet. And with the division tag, we will be able to just provide different sections in our HTML document. Let us have a look at the example. Now, this example is for the division tag, an HTML document again, and in the body section, I've just made use of the tag called as division. Now, since basically to understand the divisions, we need to, we can make use of, like you can make use of background colors so that we are able to easily identify the divisions. So again, a style, the basic property for the CSS, and inside the division tag, since I've specified one heading and one p tag, now whatever effects I apply in this style property will be applied only to these two elements, and they are not going to be applied to those text or those tags which are outside the division tag. So the property I've given is just the background color. So you can see here in the output, there is, we can have a look at this. It is like different sections. This is one section. Then we have this, the text that is displayed here with the background blue is a second section or a second division. And this is a third section there. So likewise, we can have different divisions, like where a division to display a image, a division wherein we are displaying only the text. So likewise, we can make different sections in our browser. Then the last one, that is a span tag again. So you can see here, I have made use of the p tag. Now inside the p tag, what I want is the text that I've displayed, and I have one word called as blue. And only for this particular text, I want the color to be displayed in yellow, and I want it to be displayed as bold. So likewise, again, whatever effects I need to be applied is only for this word. So I've made use of a opening and a closing span tag for this. The rest of the text outside the span tag will have no such effects applied. Likewise, I have another word here, that is dark green. Only for these two words, I have applied the span style here, where the color is red and the font weight is again bold. So let us have a look at the output here. We can see only for one word, the color is applied, and only for this particular, these two words, the different color is applied. So span tag will help us to do this. Then we have another important property, that is specifying the borders for an HTML or for the CSS elements, making use of these properties. So first let us have a look at the HTML part of this page. So in the body section, I have made use of the heading tag, H2 tag, and different P tags. So since we have studied the different types of selectors, I have made use of a class selector here. I have made use of a class selector for all of these P tags, and I have given the class names. So these class names are nothing but the border types. Okay, and inside the P tag, just the text is mentioned. So now if you have a look at the CSS part of this, you can see here the class name. This is the element dot followed by the class name. Now the property that I'm applying is border style. So basically the way we usually write is like this. This is how we write. So to avoid writing it in three different lines, I've written it in a single line. So the property that is applied is border style, and the value that it takes is dotted, then you have dashed, solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, hidden, and you can see here all I've specified four different ways, right? So the class name that I've given here is mix. So basically these class names are again user defined. You can have any class names. So what I have done is I've made use of those class names which specify the border itself, which have the border names, so that it becomes easy to remember. So let us have a look at the output of this. So you can see here how different borders can be applied. This is dotted, then you have dashed, a solid border, a double border. So these are the different ways in which we can apply border for our elements. So this is the last part of CSS. Based on the concepts of CSS and HTML that we have studied so far, we are going to do the third journal program. Let us have a look at the problem statement. So we need to develop and demonstrate a XHTML document that illustrates the use of external style sheet, ordered list, table, borders, padding, color, and the span tag. So what we are going to do is we will have two files. One file is going to be with the extension .html and another file is going to be .css. So two different files. Then in the HTML file, we are going to import or include the external style sheet that we have created. Now in the HTML, what all we need to do? We need to create, or we need to have an ordered list. We need to have a table. We need to make use of the borders, the example that we have seen in the previous session. Then make use of padding, color, and the span tag. So we can, in the HTML document, we can have these different elements, and to these different elements, we can apply different effects in our external style sheet. So first, let's have a look at the output. So this is how the output is going to be displayed. So you can see here, table is there. Then we have table borders as well. Then we have the list that we need to create. Then we have made use of the span tag. Then we have a table also. The table is basically having rows and columns, just two columns. So this is how we are going to design our lab program third. So let's have a look into the code now. First, let us have a look at the HTML part. So very important thing to remember when we make use of the external style sheets, we need to remember the statement at this line number 7, right? So we need, since you're making use of external style sheet, we will have to import it. So the syntax for that is in the head section of our HTML document, we need to make use of link relation statement, which tells that we are making use of the external style sheet, and in the href tag or the href attribute of this tag, we will write our CSS file name. So the CSS file that I have given is term3 underscore style.css. Then coming to the body section of this HTML document, very simple. First, two header tags and then a paragraph tag. So where is this header tag and the p tag, right? So these two are the header tags. and this is the P tag. This is the P tag. Now, for these tags H1 and H2 and P tag, let us have a look at what effects we have applied in the CSS. So now for the CSS, since we have made use of we have learned different types of selectors. So we can use any type of selector for the implementation. Now let us try to understand what are the effects that are applied. So if you have a look at first one, this is the P tag here, right? So for the P tag, the font family that is specified here, we have three fonts. We have Lucid Calligraphy, since it is the font name is more than one word, right? So there is a space between these two words. We need to specify it in either double quotes or you can specify it in single quotes like the last one. Then those font names which are singular words, which are just one word, you need not make use of any quotes. So we have given three priorities here. So if first one is present, that font will be applied. Otherwise the second or the third, or by the default. If none of the three are supported by the browser, then the default font will be supported. Then for the same P tag, right, I have also applied the margin left property as 10 points, or you can also apply as 10 pixels. We can also make this as 10 pixels, or even in terms of inches. Then for the P tag again, word spacing property is also given. The word spacing property is currently 5 pixels. So you can have a look at how the text is being displayed with the word spacing with 5 pixels. Now, if we change this particular property to say 25 pixels, let us have a look at what effect we get. Turn to refresh and you can see here the spacing has increased, right? So this is the property for word spacing. Then after this, we have the next one. We are still going to look into this P tag. Where else we have the P tag? We also have the P tag, the P element here, and the property that we have given is font size property, that is 75%. Then we have two headings there, H1 and H2. So H1 and H2 tag, the color property and the respective hash code, hexagon code is specified here. So for H1 and H2, you can see here, both the fonts are being displayed in dark blue color. Then let us scroll through and still have a look at if we still have a P tag or H1 and H2 tag. No. So these are the properties that are applied for P and H1 and H2 tag. Then coming back to our HTML code. Now a table tag is created and the properties or the attributes that are specified are border. We have specified the width for it. Then now you can have a look here at the output here. We have basically one heading. The first one is the heading, and then we are having 4 rows and 2 columns. So we have already studied how we can create this. TH tag will help us to create our headings, and TR tags help us for rows, and the TD tag will help us for table data. So this is the code for creating the table. Then after the table tag, one HR tag is there. So you can recall that HR stands for a horizontal line. Let us have a look here. Where is the horizontal line that is appearing? So you can see here a thin line at this particular section. After the table or below the table, we have a horizontal line. Then let us go back and check if in the CSS there is a color specified for the HR. So we also have applied the same color that we have applied for our heading. Then for the table, we have also, we can have a look here for table as well as for the list element. The same font family, the same margin properties is specified. Then for the table again, the border style outset is given and the background color is given. So you can see here in the output, the background for the table is different. The border style is different. And what we can do is, just to check, we can apply different properties. of the table. So let us try for a different property, that is dashed. Let us go back and refresh. So you can see here now the table border has been changed. Then after this, the background color, the different type of way to specify the background color for the table is by specifying the RGB. So you can specify the red, green and blue values separated by commas. So this is a function, RGB is a function, and the function takes 3 parameters separated by commas, and those are values. You can specify it in terms of either integer values or even in terms of decimals. So the combination of these 3 numbers will be displayed as the color. So let us check again if we have specified any more properties for the table. Okay, so that's it. Then after the table tag, we have also specified for the TD element also within the table, and the property is just the font size. For the table heading, these properties are specified. Text align has to be center and font size to be 85%. Coming back again to the HTML section. So again in the HTML section, you can have a look here at this particular ordered list. So for the ordered list and for this list elements, we have applied a specific property. So what is the property that is being applied for the list elements? Let us have a look here. First one is here. So you can see now, if you want to apply these same set of properties for more than one element, what we can do is we can separate them with the help of commas. And then within the flower brackets, we can specify these properties. What we have learned is just specifying one single element or one single tag name and specifying multiple properties. So if you want to apply same properties for more than one tag or one element, we can just separate them with the help of commas. One extra comma here. Then for the li tag, so as I was saying, for the li, these font family and margin is there. Also here we can find the font size. Where else any other property that we have applied for li, we have the list type, list style type, that is specified as lower Roman. So as you have seen, we could specify this even in HTML. We can also specify the style type in HTML, or you can specify it even in CSS. So let's move ahead. After this, specifying, creating a list or the OL tag, then just another P tag. Inside the P tag, text is there, and for that we have applied the span property. So you can recall that with the span property, we can apply different effects only for one particular text. So if you have a look at the output here, so you can see here this entire text is specified in the paragraph tag or the P tag, and only for this set of words, the beginning and the ending, here we have applied the span tag. So here is the opening span tag and the closing span tag. What effects are to be applied for it? So we can have a look here in the CSS again. We have the element name, and we have given the color to be blue, that is font color, the background color. The font size is specified. Font style is given as italic, and the font weight is given as bold. So that effect we can see here for this particular span tag. So this is the third journal program. Very easy. One external CSS file and one HTML file. And all we have to do is import our CSS file in the HTML and make sure that we make use of the different properties and the different tags that are specified in our syllabus. Let us have a look now at what are the different ways in which we can specify the list property in CSS. So you can see here which are the values that it can take. So we have specified in the program as lower Roman, and this is how it displays. So you can also display these following or make use of these properties: upper Roman, lower alpha, upper alpha, decimal. So these are the different ways in which we can specify the list type properties. Also, the different ways in which we can specify the colors. These are the hexadecimal code for the colors. So you can see here, maybe you can, the normal way that we do is specifying the solid color name, or you can also go for specifying the hexadecimal codes. So for the hexadecimal codes, they always proceed with a hashtag, and you can look up for these codes on the browser. You will find it on Google. Another way to specify is like we have given there. These are the four different ways. One is you can make use of specifying the names, solid names of those colors. Next thing, you can specify them with hexadecimal values. Another way is by specifying RGB values. So this is how we will be able to apply the color in CSS.